Hi, how's everyone doing today? Okay, second day of the conference. So this is me, Sophia. You can find me on Twitter. I'm @Sparrow. I'm basically an unverified Twitter crank. And people ask me what do I do at Docker at Dev Relations. It's basically I draw owls. So people come to me on a given day and say, hey, I want to do X and can you write it in Ruby? Or I want to do X and write it in Python or Java. And they say, here are these two circles. And I said, okay, fill in the rest. And so I draw the rest of the owl. Which actually makes me not an expert on Node, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes in Node. But so quickly what we're going to go over, mostly we're going to talk a little bit about containers and why they're not VMs, and we're going to go through a demo and example of why Docker, and then we're going to talk about why Docker if we get there, and so getting started and follow up with some questions and answer session if we have time. So first, containers are not virtual machines, and basically you think that containers, that's a very easy connection to make, but they're really fundamentally different architectures and have very different benefits. And I guess the best analogy that we have is that virtual machines are basically like single family houses with their own infrastructure, one family inside that house that uses that. As opposed to containers, which tend to be much more like apartment buildings where you have separate rooms or separate apartments with a shared infrastructure. So what's the big deal behind that is that between virtual machines and containers, they're different, but they're not mutually exclusive. So on the, let's see, on the left-hand, on the right-hand side actually is one type of application where you have an operating system, a Docker engine, and you have a number of containers running on top of that. However, you can also have another alternative architecture where you have physical server running hypervisor, running any number of operating systems that are virtual machines with Docker engine with Docker engine running on them, and then you can run multiple applications. So you just get a higher density for the amount of on your server for applications. So this is actually, I've used this before, and this I couldn't find the actual tweet for it, but I think somebody showed it yesterday. So typically people say, you know, now what when they come to Docker and they put something in a container. So I'll try to answer that, and what we like to call a Docker is a build, ship, and run philosophy. So our idea is to build and ship and run that app anywhere. So you can basically run from any anywhere, starting at the very bottom layer that's physical, virtual, cloud, run any OS and Windows, Linux, of course OS X. And on top of that is the Docker engine, and then any app running anything that you need from Windows, ASP.NET, Java, Ruby. This actually looks like my common work week of things that I touch in every given day. And starting off all the way from development side, from the dev, and then also pushing all the way to ops. So we're going to go through a whole example and demo where we're going to do this. So to start off, we'll do a little bit of Docker vocabulary. Apologies for people who are already familiar, but Docker image is just the basis of a container. It represents just the whole application. The container itself is the image that is running inside Docker engine, which is the next thing, which is what runs the Docker containers, and it's deployed on a physical, virtual, or local host. And finally, there's a registry service where we actually put the images where people can access them over the cloud or internet or whatever, or on your local server. So to put it all together, developers, we have different build environments. So if you have different applications running in different languages, we support this sort of polyglot development. We support shipping through Docker Hub and also the Docker Data Center, where we create and store images. We can also apply security there and scan images ahead of time. And finally, in IT operations, we can run, deploy, and manage and scale. So we're just going to run through this here on this demo. So you can try this yourself running Docker, and let's go ahead and put this down. And it's too small. Okay, so in our example here, we're gonna go take a hypothetical application that was given to us. It was actually originally a basic Python application, And we've converted over to a Node.js application and running there, Basic Express, a little bit of formatting using Pug, and running that. So we've taken that and ported it over. And excuse me, you're not going to watch me type a lot of this stuff. So I'm just going to do a lot of copy and paste because it's really horrible to watch me type. So we're going to go and run this application that we've started. Oops. Great. Oh, that's why. Let me kill this. So I'm killing everything here. Just make sure we kill the images. Okay. Okay, so we have our application running locally here that we converted, so we can take a quick look at it. And honestly, this was all running earlier. Okay, so basically we have a basic application. This is the random cat gift of the day. So we have it running there. So one of the things that we want to be able to do is in development environment, go ahead and make changes to that locally. So we're going to go ahead and go through the process of debugging, debugging this live. So. Actually, oh, that's the reason why. Okay, well. Get my network back going. Okay. Okay, well that's going. We're going to go ahead and just take a quick change because no longer it is Russell's totally random cat gift today. We're going to just make it Megacorp. So a quick change there. Oops. Is there any reason why the Wi-Fi is not working? Okay, so we're going to go ahead without the Wi-Fi. And so what we've done here in terms of debugging, we've actually set the run and we've told it the ports that's going to be open, and then we also set a volume, which is the local working directory that I've got the application in, and it's mapped directly to a directory inside the Docker image, okay? So, and then here's the Docker image that's running currently. So go ahead and change that out. We've changed it out to Megacorp. Oops. And see, this Megacorp. So apologies, this part's not running. So one of the things that we want to do is go ahead and take this image, and we'll save it out as a new Docker file. And we're going to build a new image based on this. And I just realized, okay. Since this part is not going to work without internet, the ship part anyway. Let me get a connection going here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to push this image. We're going to build this image up first. And we build images using a Docker file, which has a set of instructions to build it. From here, we're going to use Node 4.62 or Argon. And then we're going to make these working directory for it. And then we're going to install use package.json. We're going to copy that over and install it using npm to install it. And then we're going to just open that port and we're going to run it. So, okay. So we're going to go ahead and build that locally. Awesome. So all this stuff is cached. It's going to run really fast. Now we're going to do the shipping part, and we're going to push that image up to Docker Hub. Okay, as it pushes up. Okay, well, let's look quick look at Docker Hub. So this is the images here that we already have, CatWeb, and we've tagged different images. There's an earlier version that we did that was Russell's, and right now we're pushing up the one for that. So once that's up, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to set up a couple of things. So this is the shipping portion. Now we're going to run the build portion of this. So from here, what we've done through this, we're going to skip over all this stuff here and the run portion. So what we're going to do is set up what's known as Docker Swarm, which is a set of containers in swarm mode. And we're also going to set up a visualizer here. I've run this earlier, because it does take a while to run. Oh, great. There we go. So we have a visualizer that we've set up. We have a labs repo where we have a lot of tutorials and stuff, and you can set up this Docker Swarm. It's basically just a shell script which sets up, which uses Oracle's VirtualBox and sets up a number of managers and workers as a swarm. And one of the things we've run in there is a visualizer that shows you the different managers that are running at any given time. Let's see. Okay. So this is taking a bit longer. So let me go ahead. Okay, so I've started the application in Docker Swarm, and we should be able to see it here. So, okay. So you can see the application that's running inside this swarm. So one of the things we want to do, let's see if this is, we can go ahead and see if the application is running. So, okay, so here's our application. You can see it. It's kind of like dragging along, taking a little time. So what we want to do is be able to scale that up in production. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we're going to have 10 instances of the application running in Swarm. So we can switch here. In Visualiser, as you can see, we've set up at least 10 instances running here. And if you switch over to the application itself, and it'll run a little bit faster. It's a little bit more responsive with numbers thing. So this is our, what we do with Docker is part of our application of a build, ship, and run. So Swarm itself, like I mentioned earlier, is running on an Oracle VirtualBox, and there's a number of managers and workers running in the background. Visualiser is a little tool we wrote to see the things that are running inside a Swarm itself. So we ran this we ran the application that we created, and we ran it and scaled it to 10 instances. So why would you do this in Docker? And this sort of the salesy part here is that from some surveys that we've taken, like most of the things that people are doing are modernizing your app, and Docker is pretty central to a lot of the cloud strategies, and a lot of organizations are looking to adopt DevOps as a method of running their business. So one of the things that Docker does is develop speed, so it increases the speed and velocity of delivering software releases. It's extremely portable. You can use it across on Node, any polyglot development environment, C#, whatever, in Windows. And also, you also have much greater control and cost and reduction in maintaining your existing applications, since all these images are basically immutable. They don't change. And so you get a very controlled environment for people to develop in and also ship and deliver. So you have one platform, and it delivers everything for all applications. You can containerize legacy applications itself. We actually have a lift and shift tool for Windows applications that you want to Dockerize. We can transform all the legacy stuff to microservices. You break down monoliths into microservices. And we can accelerate all the new applications, development of new applications, basically greenfield type stuff. So containers in production, you can use Docker Data Center, which is our commercial product of Docker Hub. So you have enterprise container management orchestration. It's currently available for Linux and should be available for Windows environments soon in beta. So thanks a lot. Thanks for putting up with all these glitches. So if you have any questions, happy to take them. We have 1 minute. Yes?
Is Docker Swarm an alternative to something like Kubernetes?
Yes, Docker Swarm is it's similar to both Kubernetes and Mesos in terms of it is Docker's orchestration platform for containers. But you can run it in different ways. If you don't want to install Docker itself, there's a website that was put out called Play with Docker. Just Google that up. And you can run Docker commands and do a lot of the Docker exercises we have in labs there without actually having to install Docker, which is really nice.
Actually, we have about 4 more minutes, so sorry that it's a little off there.
Oh, okay. So sorry to rush through that.
Have any questions?
Okay, so yeah, I'm with Developer Relations, so we do maintain a labs repo, so lots of good stuff there if you just want to play and learn about Docker itself. And thanks for your time.